Hi Flosstube, welcome to Sanctum Stitching, where modern meets vintage. I'm Fawn, Marianne is also here with me, and we are truly so excited to bring you our very first Flosstube channel.
We really are. And I'm going to let Fawn go ahead. I'll just tell you I'm the vintage portion. So,
Makes me So I have been stitching for about a year and a half, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that long. But since I started with my very first project, I jumped right in. I went to cross stitch, I went to embroidery, and sort of everywhere in between, there's no bounds. So it's really exciting for me to see what's coming out with all the designers, and also really exciting for me to be able to show you not just cross stitching, but embroidery projects as well. Marianne, how long have you been stitching?
Well, we're going to divulge my age here somewhat. I've been stitching probably since I was in high school or something, but especially after I moved out on my own. So I've been stitching for probably 50 years.
Wow. Yeah. That's incredible, truly.
Yes.
Did you start with cross stitch?
I started with, you've probably seen pillowcases that are stamped or other things that are stamped. And so you start with cross stitch. And what we all do more of now is counted cross stitch, where you're actually counting your squares and such. But in stamped, it's already stamped there for you and you just stitch on it. So I started with those things and then moved on to crewel work, needlepoint, crewel work, and then needlepoint. And just picked up counted cross stitch in the last 15 years, I would say, to do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so another thing that Marianne and I bring to the table, which I think is cool, is we're part of the Embroiderers Guild of America, or EGA, which if you haven't heard of it, I highly recommend you look it up. They have local and national, or they are a national chapter, but they also have local chapters. So we're also a part of NAGT, which is
Needle Arts Guild of Toledo.
I should know that.
I'm membership chair. That's why I know it. So
I'm supposed to be program chair coming up, and I should know what it stands for.
Well, you do now.
So yeah, we just hope to encourage you to check out EGA, to check out local guilds that you might not have known existed in your area, which is really cool because you can get together locally with like-minded people who do embroidery, who do needlepoint. Basically anything with a needle and thread is considered welcome to our channel, or to our channel and local guild and EGA.
Yes, that is true. Beading is a big thing now too. And since it involves needle and thread, we have some people in our guild. One lady, that's how she joined. She does huck embroidery, but she also does beautiful soutache, which we'll have to have her show sometime.
Yes, absolutely. And that brings us to another point, that with this channel, we're really hoping to have local or Zoom calls with people from around the world so that we can not just show the projects that we're working on, but also get vintage and modern pieces from people around the world, which I think would be so much fun.
Yeah, it will. I think so. I agree.
So should we jump right into it and talk about our new starts?
Sure. Why don't you yours?
Yeah, so this week I have one new start, and it is actually a second time start, if that makes sense. So
yes.
Al Forest Embroidery, or I think it's Al Forest. I'm not sure if their name is Embroidery or just Al Forest. They're a Russian company, and they came out with a free stitch along for Wizard of Oz, and I have it on my phone because I don't have it printed out. One second. But this is a second start because I got the fabric, which was Star Sapphire, and I loved it, but I didn't realize that part 1 of the 12-part series started in the lower right-hand corner, and I started in the middle. So then I was at a stitch-in, and somebody's like, oh, well, how are you going to fit the castle on the top of that if you started in the middle? And I was like, oh, shit, like, uh-oh. So I was like, oh, well, I started in the middle. That's where you always start projects. That makes sense. And then when I went home, I looked it up, and I was not supposed to start in the middle. So, of course, I tried to frog it or rip it all out.
Yeah.
And ripped my linen.
Oh, dear.
I got so upset, and it sat in a drawer for maybe 3 months or so because I couldn't look at it. I was so excited about that project. I had gotten all the way through part 1, started part 2, and ripped my linen. So then over the summer, or not over the summer, the beginning of January, early February, I got new linen and was able to restart. So I have a new start this week. So here is the.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be really big. This is 28 count waterfall blue. It's on a piece of 18 by 18. And I have no idea what the brand is, but it's so silky smooth. I've never had a fabric that felt so silky. So
Where did you get it? Where did you purchase it?
Craft Gallery. So Craft Gallery is in Findlay, Ohio, and that's pretty close to where Marianne and I live. So I traveled down there, and they had, I think it was their Super Bowl sale, and so it was 50% off. So I was really excited to get this linen. And I realized I didn't show you the picture like I just said I was going to. So let's see if I can get.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? You did such beautiful work on the other one that's started in the wrong place or something. You ought to at least show them what you accomplished. Or you may have left it in the other room, but it was just beautiful.
Yeah, it is tucked away where eventually I will cut it up to use that linen, the rest of it, around the center.
Yeah.
There's a big old hole where I was stitching.
Oh, well, that happens. That happens.
But here's what I've done so far. And so it's the start of Dorothy. We have Toto. It'll have the yellow brick road here, some more here, the cyclone, and it will also have her house. And so that's part 1. So I'll be showing you as I go along, part 1 through 12. And yeah, so that was my new second start for this week. Did you have a new start? I
do. I bought this up at another place we go to called Timeless Stitches in Tecumseh, Michigan.
Yep.
And it's a Jack Frost tree farm, and I know it's a little bit of glare. Can you see it? That's the pattern. I'm not showing the pattern, just the front of the kit.
Yep, exactly.
That's something we don't do, and it's nice to tell you that on the front end, because some people don't realize that people might just pick up from that pattern then and not purchase the thing. But this is how far I've gotten.
Oh, wow.
Started it Friday.
You got all that since Friday?
Yeah, but this is, when you think about it, this is really small. I mean, it's not real big. This is the fabric. The fabric's a linen that I got up there too, and it's about 7 inches by 7 inches. The overall, let me see if I can find the directions here. The overall pattern, it's called Family Fun at Jack Frost Tree Farm series by Little House Needleworks. And it says overall it's going to be 3 7/8 inch square.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I got to thinking maybe I had started it in the wrong, maybe I should have had fabric going this way instead of this way. But then I realized it's supposed to be the same size either way. So I've been working on that and just trying to keep Fritzy from helping me. Y'all will hear me talk about Fritzy some. Fritz, he's our youngest cat. The 2 dogs are in here with me now. I have Roscoe and Brian, they're sleeping. And Eartha Kitty's sitting over near her food bowl on the kitchen counter. So Fritz likes to come and jump in sometimes. So he may join us at some, he's on the porch right now. He's thinking this is a good thing. It's warmed up. But that's my start. And it's been fun so far. I keep turning it and showing it to Joe, and he just nods. Okay.
Typical Joe.
Typical Joe. As long as you're quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. We like to say that Marianne's husband likes to give her things to stitch for him. And
Yes.
my husband actually does like to stitch. So at some point you'll see what Joe has requested on our channel, and you'll see my husband, Sean, come on the channel and show some of the projects that he's actually finished. So.
We're very proud of Sean too for making the effort. I'm still telling him I want to see his owl one of these days, because we just need to give him several needles to put all the different threads on. So
yeah, the owl was a kit, and the
right.
thread in that kit wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna kit it up for him once he finishes his solar system with DMC thread. And so I think once he has good fabric, good thread, he'll be able to power through changing color.
He will, for sure. Now, let's see, we showed new projects. What else are we? I'm checking our list here. New start
is work in progress, or WIPs. So do you want to start with your work in progress?
Well, that was one of them. I've got, that's another thing just to mention. You never have just one work in progress unless you're just really starting out and you're unsure. I've never really counted how many I have. I tried, but as I was coming from the kitchen into here this morning, into the living room this afternoon, I thought, I really do need to make a list of which things I've got, because I've got 2 or 3 things I want to do for my friend down in Alabama for next Christmas and her birthday. And those are in a bag of things to do. But one of the works in progress, I'll go on and pull out the crewel work, and somebody can see an example of that anyway.
Yeah, sounds wonderful.
Okay. That's sweet of you to say. This is a vintage piece. I started this in 1983. It's a bell pull. It was by Reynolds Yarn Inc. I don't know who the designer is. It's been a long time getting done. I did work on it. We found Fritz out in our yard in 2018, just before I went down to Lexington, Kentucky to take courses from the Royal School of Needlework. They came over for a summer school. And so I stitched after that while keeping him on the porch and feeding him and stuff like that, because he was a little bitty thing. He was only 4 weeks old and started out at 11 ounces. So there you have Fritz's history on our Flosstube. This is what I had done all of this back in the 1980s, and then started back again, and then got the bird done. This is all that I've gotten done since the summer of 2018. I haven't really touched on it much this year. I will show you next time what I worked on last summer when I was sitting out there, because we were having our bathroom redone. So the cats and I sat on the porch, and the dogs stayed in the den, and I sat out there with the cats. So I'll show that another time. But this was my project for when Fritz was so little and needed to be away from the dogs and from Eartha Kitty too. She's still not real happy. She's 19 and a half, and it's like, what did you do to me?
Oh my gosh, brought a newborn in.
Yeah. She was not the nurturing sort, but she gets along with him okay, as long as he leaves her alone.
Yeah.
Don't bug me. But that's my crewel work, and I
love the color on that.
Thank you. I like the colors too, and I really I was looking at my stitching, and it really wasn't bad back in 1983. And when I started back again, I was having some problems. So Another nice thing about being in a guild is where you've got people that you can say, why can't I get this to work right? And they look at you and they say, well, instead of, getting upset over the long and short stitch, just think of it as long and longer. Because when you get into the long and short stitch, you got to get this in. So yeah, just do longer or long and longer or something. And that way it blends better. So I think that I was able to accomplish better that way with my Bargello that I did last summer. So anyway, that's a work in progress here. And what else is on our list? Other works in progress? I don't think we need that just yet.
Do you have any other work in progress?
Yeah, at least 20 more. I mean, that's what. Do
you have any others that you wanted to show today specifically?
Let me think. No, not really. Well, another type of needlework that some of us do and I learned was hardanger. Hardanger is hardanger. I didn't know. Here I was talking as I was looking down, but it involves cutting in the middle and such.
Yeah, hold it over a little bit to the other side.
Oh, there, that. There you go. This is going to be put into a coaster. I've got 3 of these done. Here's another one.
Hold it over. There you go.
I got it. I'm getting better at this. I've still got one in the hoop. Got this little one in the hoop. I forgot to put they're called bird's eyes. I have the bird. It's this little bitty thing right there in the middle. It looks like a little cross. I forgot to do that when I was supposed to on this other one. So this one just may be different. It may not have them. And I've got 4, so that'll give me, I think, 4 of them somewhere in here. But I have other pieces that was another thing. I just started working on them and set out on the porch again with Fritz. Believe it or not, I was able to do hardanger with Fritzy around. And I thought this was I'm really proud of this piece. I think this is pretty neat. It has not been pressed or anything like that. It's just, I like the design. And we had a class, one of our members in our guild did a demonstration one night, did a class on hardanger. And it was just like, well, that was easy enough. So I just started going kind of crazy with hardanger. And I like this one. So I think what I'm going to do is make these into some of those stand-up things like we learned how to do.
Yeah, so, I have one of mine in my finishes. So I'll show you guys the example of a stand-up then.
Oh, good. Good.
Yep.
I do have that. I had mine sitting out in my finishes too. So I was going to, something we've just done or framed stuff kind of. Okay, perfect. That's the hardanger. Okay.
So hardanger, that's considered pulled thread, is that right?
Yes, it is. It's considered pulled thread. And it's really a little tricky at first because it can get real delicate, but you learn how to get these threads going this way and that. And another nice thing about Flosstube as well as just YouTube is you can go out there and find somebody that's doing this, that maybe they've been doing it for 40, 50 years too. And you can see examples, and if they get it where you can really see up close, it helps. And different people have different strategies for it. So that makes a difference too. I'm gonna have to go back into this and put my fabrics back behind it. Because you wind up with the fabric, you generally want something underneath it that you don't mind showing through. So that's why you got all the holes there. You don't want just a white background, So yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense to see when you actually finish that into coasters.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Next time or another time, I'll show you an example of stump work.
Okay.
Learned how to do that.
Very cool. Yeah, I like the variety that we have for sure.
Yes.
That was all your work in progress, right? Your whips?
Yeah, some of them, yes.
The ones that we were going to show.
save some for another show. Yeah. I have plenty I can show off for a while.
So I think I have 2 work in progress. I had to do my new start because I only had 2 that I'm actively working on besides the Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
So this first one is born out of the COVID-19 pandemic. So this was a free pattern that I got on the Witchy Stitcher Facebook group. And so I recommend you join that if you're not in it already. And so this is the Plague Doctor, and it says, wash your damn hands.
I saw that one. That's something.
Right? Yeah, I like this one a lot. And so it was by Fat Cat Artistry. And so this is a free pattern. If you join the Witchy Stitcher group, you can get this. Mm-hmm. And so I am doing it on, I think it's 36 count, and it's mystery linen because I got it at Craft Gallery in a assorted pack. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing about it is it's glow in the dark fabric, so germs for a plague doctor. And I've gotten this far.
Very good, Fawn. Very good.
So you started the beak. Because the count, I've never done 1/1 on a count so small before. So I can only do, I don't know, maybe 50 to 100 stitches at a time, and then my eyes blur and I can't do it. I just keep losing count. And so you can see here, it looks like a plant, but it doesn't look like the plant it's supposed to look like because I just miscounted, but that's okay. As long as the beak and the actual doctor look like a doctor, then a plant's a plant.
Do you use a magnifying glass at all?
Not yet. I really need to get one. And I have
for that, you might want to do that. For something
I have an Ott lamp. I think that's how you pronounce it, the really bright craft light. Mm-hmm. But it's in the corner of my living room by the couch, and so you kind of have to sit like this to get to it. So I need to get another one that's either directly behind me or something, and I think it'll be a lot easier to stitch this.
Even one of those clip-ons, hun, would do well. You know, just one of those little clip-on lights that have both the light and the magnifier. You could clip it onto your hoop. Yeah. And that way you've got it right there, because I do use one of those sometimes. I do have a larger magnifying glass sitting here by the chair. But I have found that can be a godsend just to have that little bit of light sometimes. In 36 count, boy, good for you.
Yeah, that's why I had to do 1/1. I was like, oh, I can't. But it'll be really cool. This is going to be a gift for a friend of mine when it's done. Her birthday is actually today, so it was supposed to be done. Didn't manage to do that, but
she'll love it. She'll love it, no matter when. No matter when.
My second work in progress is Clouds Factory. They have Grimm's Fairy Tale Stitch Along. You can actually still get it on their website, and it's a 2020 stitch along, so I'm actually up to date for once, which is really exciting. So I've done, this is the full piece that I have so far.
Well, that's the one I'm thinking of that I've seen. I like.
And so we started, hopefully, I can't really see, I'm trying to look through my fabric. So we have that was January. Then we went to the Princess for February. Hansel and Gretel for March. And I just finished Rapunzel.
Very cool.
And so since it's one every month, I'm really excited to see what comes in May. And I'm just really excited that I have a whole bunch more to go through, because it's like, oh, well, new pattern every month. Yeah. And I think it was maybe $20 for the pattern. I bought the whole kit because it was just easier. But it's not very expensive, and it keeps you busy for the whole year. So I highly recommend it. It's been a really fun stitch.
And it's all nursery rhymes, right? It's from
Grimm's,
nursery rhymes.
Right.
Grimm's
Tale. So this is the story too. So the pattern and the story. And so those are kind of fun to read because you're used to the nursery rhyme version, not the darker version. So that's
I was going to say, when I was a little girl, my mother actually had the Grimm's Fairy Tales book that she had had as a child. And those were ones that it's in color, some of the prints inside, and they actually had tissue that went over them, and it was scary. She didn't read it to us, and she remembered getting scared by it. And I don't know which one of my siblings may have wound up with that book. For all I know, Mama might have thrown it away. But it was just one of those that, yeah, the fairy tales are they're not quite what we're used to putting out there for little ones these days now. Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, that's been really fun. And I like it because it's more of a modern. It's really bright and colorful. And Clouds Factory, they have all modern stuff. So one of the ones I'll show later is based on a TV show. So it's current, up to date, and I really like it.
See, that's where she's newer on things than I am. She's teaching me all about, well, first off, all the stitching things you can look at on Flosstube. I have some friends in Cincinnati that have their own channel, but I generally, if I'm stitching, I'm listening to an audio book or maybe watching something on TV. I'm not used to watching Flosstubes, but I guess I better be if I'm going to be on one. So I better adapt, hadn't I?
Yeah, I like the Flosstubes because I tend to find projects or designers I would have never heard of. Yeah. And once something's colorful and catches my eye, I'm like, ooh, got to do that one. And there's Fritzy.
There's Fritzy. I told you somebody might come to visit, and here he is. As long as he doesn't knock the iPad over, we'll be doing all right. All right, Fritz. Well, as long as he stays on the table. Yeah, he's sitting down. Okay.
Yeah, I locked my cat out, but we'll see if he bangs down the door or not.
That doesn't happen around here. They're able to, I don't have doors to hear. I could have shut him on the porch and then we'd hear him batting at the door from out there probably. And the dogs are lying down. So Roscoe and Brian are keeping us company, but they're quiet.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Well, I like seeing the cats come in. So one day we'll allow Wally when my iPad.
Wally, yeah.
Right now I
visit.
Yeah, I took the case off, so I didn't want him to come in and knock this down and break the iPad.
Yeah.
One day. So next we have finishes.
That's not a beer. That's not a beer. You know, it's just water. In case anybody heard me flipping the tab, it's just water.
Get a little modern there.
Yes. Go ahead.
So next we have finishes. So I thought we could talk about some of our full finishes, but also just some of our stitching finishes. So things that we haven't necessarily gotten framed yet or don't have the fabric because it's hard to go to the store right now, right. But still want to show them off because it's always so exciting when you finish a project, whether it's a FO or a full finished object or just a stitch finish.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, or?
I've got a couple of them here. I figured I wouldn't show all my finishes at one time, but our guild does we used to call it a raffle. We don't call it that anymore. We used to be at the Toledo Botanical Gardens years ago, and they always have a heralding the holidays. So our guild would make a wreath and always pick a theme for the ornaments that people embroidered or beaded, put on the wreath. And that would be raffled off. You know, we didn't get any money, but the Botanical Gardens did. And then we moved our annual show, we have now moved to the public library, the Sanger branch here in Toledo. And we're Toledo, Ohio. And that way we cannot have anything that's raffled off there. So we've just been doing what we call little smalls. And then we do get together in the guild and people can put money in towards it or something. And we've done these now for about 3-4 years. But we were doing the wreaths for ourselves and we were getting tired of wreaths, I think. So, but our theme this summer this fall is summer. And so I found this, I really like these little French country this is French country, and it's the pear. And pears, I think.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. I can see it on mine, but this is the pattern or the design. This is the little booklet for it. And you can even do it in either a green or a gold. And I decided to kind of mix the colors. This is my finish on it.
That's so
And
pretty.
I got that done a couple of weeks ago. You know, it was fun to do. Well, I guess I just finished it last week, and then I started on the tree farm. But it's got the yellow and green. It's got variegated threads by Gentle Arts in it. I think it was Gentle Arts or Color. Well, there I go. I'm thinking so. Let's see what they called for them. Weeks Dye Works. So they called for that, or you could do it in DMC colors. But I like that. So what I'm going to do is probably make it into a little pillow-like thing for it could be a needle or pin cushion, or I might do. We just recently had a class on how to finish off something so it's standing up, and I bet Fawn's probably going to show hers on that. It's really cute what she did, and so I might make this a little standing up thing. The smalls are supposed to fit in the palm of your hand, but I'm sorry I don't work that little bitty. I try, but I do have another finish. Let me see, where did I put that? Well, this is my little finish of what stands up, and hers is all finished. Mine, and I think mine is a little birdhouse and the birds on top.
I love birds. Yep, any pattern with birds in it, I'm all about it.
Yeah, and then I've got this is the back, and what you do is you learn how to make it so it'll stand up on its own. Now I need to go back and, as our instructor said, now are you going to make that a little tighter here and here? You know, like see, it's not quite real close up there, and it needs it there because I stitched it up by hand. And sometimes people put cording right along in here, or they'll do ribbon, something like that. I'm not very good at making cords, but I might just start twisting some of the threads together just to have something that finishes it off, but not too much. So there's that. And I know I have another one. Why don't you, this is what I get for thinking. Yeah, this is, oh dear.
Yeah, that birdhouse.
Valuable time here.
The birdhouse came a lot bigger than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it did. It really did. It's like, okay, I have a little piece. I did this. Now this is a little different. I'm going to send this to my 3-year-old grandniece. A few years back, I bought the little pillow-like thing at a retreat that I went to down in Cincinnati area, but it had just white cotton here, and I thought, well, now how in the heck am I going to embroider on that? So I've got this on. I just put her name and some flowers for her on some Ada, and then stitched the Ada got it into the middle here, and of course Joe looked at it. He said, well, are you going to stitch it anywhere else? Look, Joe, it's in there. It's stuck. I'm not. Lily can just not pull it apart, you know.
There goes Joe trying to add things.
Right. Yes. Well, there's a finish, and also a nice little thing of how you can use other things.
Yeah, I saw one of those pillows down at Craft Gallery.
Yeah.
And they have an opening. It's meant for stitching, and so you can just slide stitching in and then sew up, I think, one of the sides.
Well, this was sewn up all over. That was the problem. This was sewn up all over, all the way around. So it wasn't. I think the lady that sold them, you could lift you could lift all this, and so that's what I had to do. But everything was already sewn. So
and just a different style, I guess.
Yeah, unless I missed something somewhere. Be my luck, it was probably free at the bottom, but I don't think so.
Oh,
You go ahead, because I thought I had another one to show, but I don't. So there we go.
I'm going to show 3 of mine today. And I have 3 others, but I'll save them for our next video because since all my projects are pretty big right now, I won't have a full finish for a little bit. So we'll just save those and leave some excitement. The first one I have is the stand-up. And so I started to stitch on this project because our class on stand-ups was coming up and I wanted to make sure I could actually participate. And so I've sort of been on a mission lately to find free projects because there's so much available when you go to Facebook groups, or I think there's one called Cross Stitch Freebies where it's sort of a catalog of all the different free projects and designers that give out free things. And the idea as a designer will give out a free chart so you can understand their style, make sure you like the way that they chart things, you like working on their projects, and then you go and support the designer. So this one is Doreen Jones. And so every Friday, she actually does a free Friday. And so this is one of her free Fridays. She's got, I think, 3 years of projects up there. So really anything you want, you can find. And so this has some French knots on it, a lot of back stitching, which per usual with me, I started to follow the back stitching and then made up my own back stitching. But this was, I think, 36 count again, mystery linen that I just had. And I didn't have the color she called for, so I sort of made up my own following the general colors. But you can see that this is actually a stand-up. And so it's 4 pieces of mat board, some fabric that you use to cover it. There's lots of tutorials online. And as Marianne was mentioning, I sewed the top up. It's not really focusing, but I sewed the edges so that it's really compact.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a stand-up because I mean everybody doesn't always have wall space. I definitely don't have a lot of wall space where I live, and so it's nice to have something small like this that you can just put out. And it was nice that it was free. So definitely check out Doreen Jones if you have the chance. I really like this one. It was fun to do, and now I'm obsessed with stand-ups. So
same here.
Before this project, I would just throw things in a hoop because I didn't know how to finish anything else. And framing can be so expensive. So it would just sit there and be stitched, but nothing happened to it unless it was in a hoop. So this is exciting for me. The next one is Clouds Factory because I'm obsessed. And it is a piece from Supernatural. It was 32 count 2/2. And so this is Supernatural. It says saving people, hunting things, the family business, which if you know that show, it's really relevant. We have
I didn't know the show. I don't know the show.
We have the 6 main characters, and if you are a fan of Supernatural, I think they've done a really, really good job of charting the characters to actually look like them. Like if someone watches Supernatural, they would immediately know that this was Bobby Singer.
Okay. So
this was super fun for me. And it was a really quick stitch because you would get a character done at night and be like, oh, I did a full one. Like I could do another one. And then you get started and then it's midnight and you have to go to work in the morning. But that was really fun for me. So I'll probably finish this. I don't know if I want to do a stand-up or if I want to do a frame of some sort. So I guess once all the stores open, we'll see what happens if I can
even a pillow would be kind of cute. Sean, phone, not Sean, phone. Oh, this is pretty bad. Even a little pillow though, that you could set somewhere, like you see on beds and stuff. That would be cute in your office or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. We'll figure out.
It's pretty small once you sort of like fold it over, but it would still be a cool thing to put maybe like by the TV or
Yeah.
something like that. So we'll see what happens. I'll report back. And my last one, did you take the sunflower class?
No, I did not. I was going to and changed my mind. I thought I was going to be going down to Lexington, Kentucky again this summer. I've already paid to go, but Royal School of Needlework is not coming this year, of course.
Oh,
Thank you, COVID-19. So I had figured I was going to be working on the piece I had learned in 2018 that I hadn't finished, so I didn't want to start another class. So no, I didn't, but you did, and that is so beautiful what you did.
yeah. So this was a class that our guild, we hired a teacher, and her name was Deborah Mytek, or Debbie Mytek.
Mm-hmm.
And she came and taught us a one-day class. It was super fun because a lot of our guild was there. Some people from out of town actually came. Mm-hmm. And so another benefit of being in a guild or part of EGA is you get access to these sorts of classes and can learn techniques that you didn't know really existed or thought were so beyond your skill set when they're really not. And so this is called Summer's End. It's silk ribbon embroidery on Zyger, I think that's how you say it?
Yes, Zyger, yes.
18 count sandstone vintage canvas. So this is canvas work, but it's also silk ribbon embroidery. So definitely, it's different from what I've seen on Flosstube, and I loved it. So here is my sunflower. So we have this braided edge, which I thought was so cool. I can't remember the thread. If somebody's interested, I could look it up later or put it in below. But we have silk ribbon, which you have to learn to lay the thread so that you can get the ribbon to actually curl a little bit and lay flat. So that was fun. The orange here is called turkey work. And that was a very different stitch. And I started and stopped this project so many times because turkey work was not agreeing with me. But once I got past the turkey work, then I got to start on French knots. Mm-hmm. And so the whole center here is different colored thread French knots. And it was actually straw. So it wasn't a DMC floss. It was straw, which I never thought you could put into a project, but there it is. And it looks really cool.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. And so I'm really, really good at French knots now. I know a lot of people hate them, but if you want to get good at them, this is the project for you. And then once you have that done, you can do, or maybe I did the beading before the French knots, I'm not quite sure. You do this beading all the way around, and so you're laying those threads. And
I would imagine you did that after, hun, because it finishes it nicely.
Yeah, and then in the actual French knots are little seed beads. And so unless right up on it, you don't notice them, but it sort of catches the light from far away, which I really liked. So I'll probably frame this. I'll have to go talk to somebody and figure out how to frame it myself. But for now, it's just literally sitting on top of a painting like this, displayed in our living room. I think that's all I have for finishes today. Did you have something for Marianne's memories that you wanted to share today?
Oh, well, sure. This pillow is one of the first needlepoint things I did.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I bought the pattern. Well, in needlepoint, nowadays you can get a printed sort of pattern, or you can do some on your own, but this was a painted canvas. And then what you do is you do all your stitching over where the paint was, where it was painted. So I got this at a shop in Charlotte, North Carolina. My parents lived in Charlotte for a while. And I went over there for a visit and got this in like probably 1979.
Wow. And the colors look so bright.
I love the colors. I love them. Yeah.
They don't look like they've faded at all in all that time.
No, believe it or not, I think the cream color has gotten a little bit faded. The cream color has, and I just realized it's got kitty fur on it. I need to vacuum it.
Well,
Poor
can't see.
pillow. But I like the finishing too because it's got velvet. It's velveteen on. It's velvet on the back, a velveteen, and then the way they did it. So I had it done by somebody down in Memphis. That's where I'm from originally. And I just love that they finished it in this square like this.
Yeah.
So, but this is one of my older pieces. So there we go. Sorry about messing up our program here with not balancing the chair quite right.
No, perfectly fine. But yeah, that was Marianne's memories. We thought that could be a cool segment that we include for the vintage, to sort of show what old school stitching used to be like, how the styles changed, how now we usually count instead of painted, but you can find painted work.
It's very expensive. That's the thing with painted canvases. You might spend, and this, of course, I wouldn't have spent $70 on this canvas back in 1979. I didn't have that kind of money. But now, to get a painted canvas, that can be, you might spend $100 and something just for the canvas, just to hold that. It was, piece of artwork, because that's what it is, really, is artwork too.
Yeah, because they're all hand painted usually.
Yes,
too.
they are. Yeah, there are some now that they've got them in color and stuff, and they're made that way that they aren't the painted. So I've been seeing some kits that I think, oh, that would be nice to do, So anyway.
Yeah. So I think that's all we have for you today.
Well, I wanted to show them one real quick thing, and that's all, and we can be done. This is a piece I worked on for a while, and I had it framed. It's Henzeit's Yellow Snow. And I started it out on a light gray and didn't like that. So it's finished on a blue fabric, what we call it's not just a solid color. And I love it because it's got a little Westie, and that's what our two dogs are Westies. And so I had this done for my husband, Joe, and then they framed it for me down at Craft Gallery. So it's, I don't know, and we just had snow here in Northwest Ohio the other day on the ground. So it's still appropriate to maybe set out now. So anyway, that's a finish that's been framed and stuff.
Yeah, I love that one. It was so cute. I remember we were at a stitch-in. So a stitch-in is where people from our guild or people that aren't in our guild get together and actually have lunch or just gather at the library and work on a project together.
Yeah.
And so Marianne brought that to our stitch-in, and we were all rolling laughing because that is just a project.
Yeah. Well, and it takes me a while to get things finished sometimes too. We are now doing virtual stitch-ins, though, just like Fawn and I are not sitting together. We would love to be able to, but we are trying that as well. And so far, we've been having a pretty good count of people to get them together for about an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Did you have anything else for today?
No, I think I'll save some stuff so that we don't bore people the whole time. I'm not bore, but so we have some other things, because I have some stump work. I do have, and I love these Blackbird designs, and they do a lot of things that are sampler type oriented things, which you would consider old school. And I'll have to figure out a way. I did a thing for my sister. I made it into a pillow, but it's supposed to be from the 1920, like a 1923 sampler or something.
Oh, interesting.
And I did it because the person in it was named Mildred, and my sister's name is Mildred, but she goes by Midge. So I did not put Mildred on her pillow. I put Midge.
You knew better.
But yes, I knew better. But it's from my mother and my grandmother. You know, Southerners keep names going for a long time. but it was a neat pillow, and I sent it to her for her birthday a couple of years ago. But all I've got left is a picture of it. So, but those are examples of something that's modern, something new, but it's done in an old-fashioned way.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll be excited to see that next video, or the video after that, whenever we show it.
Whenever we show it, we'll give it a try. We have done almost an hour, kiddo.
That's crazy. I hope people watch.
I hope so too. I hope so too. Well, Fawn has done a wonderful job. I will say this. She's done a wonderful job of organizing this and getting us some music and Flosstube channel and all of that. My job basically was to get us set up on Zoom so that we could visit with y'all, because and I've got my mug here that I use. I told everybody, I said, this is what you're going to see when we're doing our Needle Arts Guild stitch-ins. And it says, friendship warms your heart, brightens your day, and keeps you feeling cozy. And that's how I feel when I'm with Fawn, and when I'm with her husband, Sean, and when I'm with all the ladies that are in our guild. That we've got friendships that have developed. I've been in our guild since 1995. We've got people that have been in there since 1983. So this is a new adventure for the two of us, and her enthusiasm. So she's the culprit that got me into this. We figured modern and vintage, we definitely are. And I just am proud that this young lady wanted to do something with me. It made me feel good. So
yeah, thank you so much. And you immediately said yes. I told Marianne I had an idea, and she was like, I'm down, let's do it. And so it's only been a week, and here we go. We already have a channel. So thanks everybody for watching. Once the quarantine is lifted and the pandemic is sort of shifted a bit, we'll be doing these in person, but we were too excited to wait. So for now, we're doing them on Zoom, and hopefully the quality turned out okay. And we'll probably try to post a video bi-weekly or so. I'm not sure which day yet, but we'll obviously let you know.
Yeah.
So if you like this video, please like it, subscribe, and we can't wait to see you soon. Bye.
Y'all take care. Bye-bye.